What's up, guys? How we doing? Good morning. Hope you're all having a good Thursday. It's Thursday already. I can't believe it. Morning so far. And I'm pissed that it's Thursday because that means the weekend's coming and we can no longer trade. But we got 2 days, baby. Let's get to work. 60 seconds out on this 2-minute chart. You're looking at a 2-minute chart on NQ. ATR is 25. Tom, good morning. How we doing? Javaz, Scott, Christian, Derek, all the regulars. Good to see you guys. Hope you're having a good day so far. And if you're not, well, let's hang out and let's make it better. All right, guys, let's get to it. So volatility is pretty damn good here today. I gotta tell you, I think we're probably gonna stay on the 2-minute chart as is typical around here. I honestly, you wanna look at a 5-minute chart? I mean, like, not great, right? Like the 5 minutes almost looking like a, I don't know, like a 1 minute. Even the 1 minute's looking cleaner than the 5. That's kind of nuts. So let's stick with the 2. 2's a great balance. It's a great balance. Gives us time to talk about the trades. Gives us time to think. But isn't so slow like a 5-minute can be, I know. Where, you know, there's only 80-some bars in a session. Which, you know, can offer plenty of trades. But also when volatility's up like this. I mean, here, let's just go back to a 5-minute for fun. ATR creeps up a little. It's 34 now instead of like 25 on the 2-minute. And typically, if you're going to trade a 5-minute, you're going to want to size down and look for bigger trades in general, right? So you're risking more, looking to get a little bit more. Now, for us, when we're trading prop, in a personal account, that can make a lot of sense. When we're trading prop firms, clearly, when you look at the rules, they heavily favor scalping. I think for a variety of reasons, but mainly due to the drawdown. If you're swing trading in props, you know, obviously I've taken payouts just as fine with more swing trading style. I don't know if you would call 40 points a swing trade. I'd probably call it more like a longer duration scalp on average. But if you're trading a little bit bigger, it can cause problems because sometimes it's going to go 38 points in your favor, turn around, stop you out, and now you have 78 points of the trailing drawdown from one trade, which kind of sucks. So we're going to stick with it on the 2-minute chart, and we're going to scalp our way through here today and see what we can put together. ABB, Skeeto, how we doing? Good morning, guys. Niles, Gary, good to see you. All right, let's get to it here. Here comes the rollover on this 2-minute bar. Not shit I can do there. It's a big old inside bar. Look at that ugly thing. But I will tell you a couple of looks that I'm looking at right now. Obviously, we can make this argument. Very aggressive. I mean, that's not an argument that I'm a big fan of making. If you want to look at it in a bigger way, I mean, you could do this. You could do this. And then you just start drawing lines. I'd probably look at it like this as of right now. Honestly, probably like that. A giant wedge. And the more aggressive it is, the more likely it is to pick a direction sooner. So, I'd really prefer for this thing to... Honestly, I think, well... It'd probably make our life easier if it just went higher. Because if it comes lower, then we have the 20 EMA on the 5 to deal with at 472. Which is right about here. Which is not the end of the world. But, you know, it's not up to me anyway. So let's just see what happens here on the 2-minute and trade it. Zachary, if we pass our evals today, we won't be eligible for the discount on Apex. He's talking about the ridiculous activation fee discount since it ends at noon. Yes, that ends at noon Eastern. Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume that the way that it works and don't take my word for it because I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to assume the way that it works is if you buy an eval, let's say you already bought an eval and you're trading it here. Well, actually, you would have had to already pass it in yesterday's session before the 1 hour close. And then you would have to activate it before noon Eastern time today. So yeah, you're right. If you pass today, even if you passed right now, you won't get the activation email until this evening. So, correct. The whole big fun deal at Apex for now is kaput. Unless you have past evals that you need to activate, in which case, get to it, man. Noon Eastern, that activation fee goes up. All right, we're pushing higher. We got 1:13 out here. Let's see if we get a nice clean bull body closing near the high. I'm gonna have to get long. And that is within reason. I just don't want to see that bar grow too much because then our risk grows, which is, not the end of the world. And in a setup like this, I mean, the high of day so far is sitting up here. I'd likely be looking for closer to a full ATR, which is normal. It's not always half an ATR. I think, something I've noticed is I think a lot of people get kind of locked into one mentality. They're like, wait, but shouldn't I always be taking a half ATR? It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the whole point has been be contextual, be liquid. It's just we take a half ATR. I'm doing it all the time if we're in a range and in tighter continuation trades that are still within a bigger range. All right, we are 16 seconds out. Copy trader engaged, ready to rock. I will get a stop limit buy ready to go here. 6 seconds. And let's see if we can place that on a bull close near the high of this bar. That is reasonable. I'll place that. We'll give that 20 seconds. That's a 20-second setup right there. See if we can get a fill. ATR about 22. Come on, bulls. Punch it through. 5 seconds here. If not, we got to pull the or. Oh, last second. We got to fill, baby. Last second. And let's see. Yeah, I mean, let's see if we can. We'll see if we can maybe hunt some stops up here. Honestly, I'm pretty much going to leave that trade as is. There's really nothing more for me to do. I'm looking for pretty much a full ATR. This would end up being quite a bit more than a full ATR because I want to see if we can hunt the stops at high of day, which is back here. Right there is the high of day. So, I have it maybe 4.5 points or so above that high of day. And let's just see if the bulls can get that done. That more than justifies that risk, man. So we'll leave that on and see if we can kick off the day here with a half-decent continuation setup through the high. If the bears say no, yeah, so be it. We'll move on. Can you believe it? In this market, man, we're finally getting a better than one-to-one reward to risk scalp. Can you believe it? Let's see. I really do like the setup. Let's just see if it works for us here. Breaking the ice here. Trade number 1 of the day. All right, little bear doji. Bull's taking a little breather here. Again, risk is just offloaded to the computer on the signal bar. Take profit. I'm going to leave it offloaded to the computer. High of days right here. Right here. So, 4.5 points. I think with an ATR of about 22, 4.5 points is a reasonable stop hunting through. Okay, so What I'm really looking at is you know, those shorts. They all have stops. A lot of them do. Buy stops. Well, they'll look to buy their position back just at market price, which is a lot of times, if you can break those stops, is the big question. Free liquidity. And that free liquidity, it depends on volatility. In a low volatility environment, in a big old range market, you might only get 3-5 points. In big continuation markets, big trend markets, which this is not, you might get 10 to 15 points on the push through those stops. This is not a big trend market. We're in more of a range market, so I'm going to kind of put it at 4.5 points above kind of the high of day where I think those stops are sitting. Now, the big question is, can we even test the stops? If we do we form a double top and reject? Or can we push through, trigger some stops, and give me my kind of free additional, I don't want to call it free, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to set trades like this up, to find something that you can structure. It doesn't happen all the time. But if it does, we'll get our free little liquidity and run on home for trade number 2. Come on, Bulls, make it happen. Bulls taking a big old breather here. All right, not gonna work. That's fine. We'll cut it and move on. Next trade here. All right, so I really want to see the next couple of bars and see if this turns into a, because I'm looking at the 5 minute and it's like, okay, well, there's really no reason. You know, let me pull up a 5. There's not really a great reason for this to become the top of this move unless this becomes a thing, which this would only be the second touch point, so it's impossible to even know. So, you know, when I'm doing my studying, that's a trade. There are some trades that I look at that I'm like, yeah, I probably, honestly, now that I look at it again, I think I missed something or I wouldn't take it again. That trade I'd have to take again. Sometimes it just doesn't work. So, all right, let's go to trade number 2. That is 1. All right, here. Gaines, good morning. How we doing? Literally lost 8 in a row. It's called statistics. It's going to happen. Even if you have an edge, that happens. There you go. Roy's having it happen the opposite way today. Beautiful. But, I mean, like, seriously, like a losing streak, if you're getting really, really low, I mean, you're probably kind of new. Drawdown is very, I mean, you're going to lose track of how many times you're going to drawdown if you actually end up doing this for a long time. Which most people won't. Because drawdown number 1 kills most people. And then you also have the winning streaks that just statistically are going to happen as well. You're going to win 13 in a row, and you're going to go into, you know, chat rooms because it's your first winning streak, and you're going to tell everyone you got it all figured out and you're the shit. Yeah, we get it. We've seen it before. It's all a cycle, man. Minute 50 out. Let's see how this bar closes up. I am curious to see if this becomes like a bigger soft bull channel. Yeah, this actually has my interest here. All right, 23 seconds out. Copy trader, ready to roll. Let's see if these bulls can give us a decent close near the high of the bar. If so, then I am looking, this is very aggressive. I hate to even draw these as aggressive, but just for the sake of showing you guys, I will. And I'll get a stop limit buy ready. Different kind of trade than before. Trade number 1 of the day was a bigger swing at a bull push. More of like a swing trade. This would be more of a scalp. So let's see if we can get a fill. I'll give that, you know, 20, 25 seconds. I'd call this maybe a B+ setup here. A few more seconds. No fill, gotta pull it. All right, 90 seconds out here. Let's see how this bar closes up. Hey, Nico, could you tell me your ATR settings? Interested in using it? Scalp on the 2-minute if that matters? Yeah, on every time frame. And again, I need to clarify so people don't get married to an idea, which is you know, puts chains on you. I think is a big mistake. I use the 10 period. So the value on my ATR is 10. So on a 2-minute chart, that's the last 10 2-minute. Well, it's always the last 10 bars. But on a 2-minute chart, the last 10 2-minute bars is the last 20 minutes. But I set it as 10. So on the 5-minute chart, it's the last 50 minutes. Not that that matters. I'm just looking at the last 10 bars. That's it. That's it. Whatever platform you're in. Now mine, this happens to be Ninja Trader. If you're new here, that's totally cool. I'm gonna wait till the next bar here. Mine, I have range overlaid in the same UI window. I don't know what the hell you call it. As the ATR. So the ATR is the red line with this red flag. Then range, I just have the flag hidden, and it's these orange bars of each individual bar. So all we're doing is comparing the range of each individual bar to the average of the last 10. Those of you guys saying that your ATR used to line up with mine and now they're not, it might be because I'm looking at the actual NQ chart. My contracts are mixed. I used to just be looking at the MNQ chart, and then when I switched to NQ to mix in contracts, so I'm trading, which by the way, do you guys remember we had this conversation? This isn't new. We had this conversation like 6 months ago, damn near. Probably 4 or 5 months ago when I started the stream. I kept wondering, like, you know, I need to trade NQ in some of these accounts because like it's just too slow. And the commissions are higher on Apex when you trade MNQ, which as a scalper, like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to pay more commissions than I need to in some of the accounts, but I can't trade NQ in all of them because trading NQ in like the 50s, like in the 50Ks, it's just a little much. Like, it's kind of high as far as sizing, at least for me. So like 4 or 5 months ago, I was like, have any of you guys been trading NQ mixed with MNQ in the copy trader? So like you'll trade NQ in the leader in a few of the accounts, and then you'll copy to MNQ. And a lot of you were like, yeah, it works great. And then some of you were like, no, yeah, I did it. It's horrible. But I've been doing it lately and it's been working tremendously well, honestly. So gonna keep rocking with it. But yeah, this is the NQ chart, so that's probably why there's a little difference. Until this bar closes up. I mean, a wedge, right? Most likely. What's up, Chris? How we doing? John, good to see you. Okay, so I'm actually watching this 2-minute bar, and I'm not against putting on a short here if we can get a higher test before the bar closes. And you guys know with reversion, I don't, and we've had this conversation, I don't have to wait for the bar to close on reversion, at least the rules that I set for myself. On continuation, I do try to wait for the bar to close. So most of the time, I'm usually waiting for the bar to close. That's not always, doesn't have to be the case. So, keep an eye on this. I'll get my finger on the trigger. Let's see here if we can get a push higher here out of the bulls. And then I'll look to position myself to try to fade that. Which, by the way, makes my life very easy to manage risk. Yeah, all right. Bears are going to hold that down. We'll keep an eye on that. Nothing on that bar. All right, let's see here if we can get a test of the top of this little wedge out of the bulls. Makes my life, again, very easy to position myself and then manage my risk very well. So let's just see here if we can get a half reasonable entry. And look to fade those bulls. Limit sell out. No fill. Leave that out for a second, see if we can get a fill. I don't like to leave these limits out too long in case we get news. Very good. And use that to manage risk. Makes our life very easy. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, orders set. We'll see. I'll think about managing bar by bar. For the most part here, we're pretty good to go though, as far as management. All right, Bears. The Bulls are going to try to break this baby out. But this is a trading range now, damn it. If you look at this, I gotta tell you, I imagine if the Bulls do break this out, probably is not going to go very far. So let's put a stop to that early. And by the way, let's clean this up as we go, so we can keep a fresh set of eyes. Alright. Oh, balls. Alright, let's get flat here. Copy trader glitch. Alright, let's move on. One trade at a time, man. That's all we can do. So, you know, the difference between this little wick high and high of day is 17, 18 points. 18 points. So it makes you start to think, you know, if the bulls can break it out, again, I don't think it's going to go very far. I really think we're probably looking at this trading range for a little longer, if not a slow grind. Now when you get slow grinds, I'm just speaking for myself at this point. When you get slow grinds, the stop hunting mentality gets a lot less exciting. Because when it breaks the stops, you usually see like a 3-point pop. And at that point, you got to ask yourself, well, is it worth it? Is it worth risking that this is just a range for the off chance that it grinds higher and pushes through the stops for a 2 or 3-point pop? Because it's such a soft test of the stop losses. I like more aggressive stop hunting setups. But let's see if this ends up going very far. It probably won't. Yeah, ATR sitting just below 17 now. All right, 30 seconds out here on this 2-minute. This is becoming eerily reminiscent of the slow grinds that we've been seeing the last couple of days. Right now, at least at points during the day, right? I mean, right now, you're going to have this battle going on. And a lot of times what you end up with is equal balance and then usually like a liquidity push. Which direction? It's completely 50-50 in this case. Completely 50-50. If you get a push higher up through here, then you have the high of day at 48, 548.50-ish. Which, if it breaks, again, probably gives you at least 3 to 5 points of a push. up to however, however many. But volatility being, ATR being 15, usually those pushes aren't too aggressive. Okay, so let's see here if they can't test it. All right, Bears. Right back into the trading range. "15 seconds out." Yeah, I mean, you see what I mean? I mean, the bulls are trying to step in. This region right here is getting damn tight. Let's just see that thing break, so that we can do something here. Big old wiki bear body. 2 minutes out. All right, ATR down to 17. Let's bounce around here and look at some other charts. I want to see what's going on. This is a 1 minute. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty much as you'd expect. Kind of slow on the 1. The 5 is still wiki as all hell today. You know, when the 5 minute chart looks like this, these wicks even. Oh look, a decisive bar. These wicks. Does anybody know what that means for context? Does anybody know? And yeah, I'm looking for a real answer, because that should be really, really obvious. Yeah, trader on tilt, Tony. You guys are the closest. Tony's spot on. I mean, it's a range, right? It's a range market. There's no... People will, they'll take big breakout attempt trades. And even that first one that I took, that wasn't a breakout attempt trade. That was a continuation trade inside of a big range. It's just a trading range. I mean, look at the daily chart. It's been very interesting lately because we have big volatility. We have like sort of high volatility, kind of trendy days, but that doesn't mean it's a trend market. Trend markets, I mean, look at this move, Jesus. Trend markets don't look like the way the daily chart looks right now, where it's just back and forth. Bull, bear, bull, bear, bull, bull, bear, bear, bull, bear. And we've really been going nowhere for a month and a half. I mean, what, September 4th? We were right around the same spot, mid to late July. Which realistically, it means nothing to us except range market. So it's, it's got to be the backbone of the strategy. At least try to keep that in mind. What does that end up looking like? Well, I mean, listen, for me, it ends up looking like I'm not really putting on trades, the same trades that I would have a quarter ago. Looking for 100, 120 points. It's just kind of unreasonable in this market. That big bar tested what is the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart right here. Actually, right there. And it's trying to bounce. We'll see if it can. Also happens to be that flat bottom-ish. Which, really we should redraw. Okay, so we're 35 seconds out about. We have a huge bear body, a tiny little almost doji bear body, and now an attempt at a bull body inside of the range. So, let's get the copy trader ready. I don't want to see this bull body get too large. Right about there would be perfect. All right, bulls, calm down. Calm down, calm down. Let's wait for the rollover. And see if we can get a little bit of confidence out of the bears. Yeah, it's just not there. All right, we'll go next bar here, minute 40 out. And see if we can get a harder push out of the bulls. By the way, that was me looking to position myself long. Didn't quite get the entry. There's that push out of the bulls. There's a close right in the high end of this range. Let's see how this next bar plays out here. Minute 53. KC, how we doing? Any tips for dealing with expanding wedges? It seems like we're getting more of them lately. The one thing that I would say with expanding wedges is as they expand and they get closer and closer to a high or low of day like this at 548.50, which is here. That's the high of day right now. Eventually you can get to a point where the wedge just kind of ceases to matter because now all of a sudden the high of day is the story. That's what I would say about expanding wedges, because that happens really, really consistently, at least lately. And then, you know, you can get short ahead of high of day and it can work, but most times, and when I say most times, I don't mean 99%. If you're going to trade, you know, you should understand that the statistics are very rough here. We always live in a fog. Most of the time, you're eventually going to see a pretty aggressive break, somewhat aggressive, of high of day. That doesn't mean it's going to run 400 points, okay? It just means you're probably going to get some free liquidity of stops triggering, and 3 to 5 points, 10 points, maybe a little more, depending on how many stops are up there. It is the high of day. It's been set since the open. All right, this next bear body might have my attention. Let's see. See the bulls hesitating here right around this wick high. Again, this is a wedge that we're looking at. But again, high of day at 548.50. I'd love to be able to participate. But again, this is exactly that slow grind that we were talking about maybe 20 minutes ago. When you get these slow, not very aggressive grinds, usually the break isn't quite as fun. To the tick test. To the tick. Let's see if the bulls can break through here. Take out some of those short stops and reset this market a little bit. Now, what I'm actually going to do, again, my cursor right there, that's high of day. Okay, we tested it essentially to the tick, within 1 or 2 ticks. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it long if I can get a fill there. And I'm going to risk almost nothing. And just see if we can get a punch through, and see how far it goes if we can punch through those stops. Now, if this turns right back into a trading range, big deal. I just want to see if we can use those stops. Again, high a day, right where my cursor is. Let's see here. Bulls are really hesitating, man. You think those bears are sweating? With all those stops right up there? These are swing trader stops for people who are positioned short. So here we are. Let's see if we can get a test. Again, those stops are sitting around like 548, 550. Really 549, 550 region. So let's see if the test is underwhelming or if we actually kind of get something reasonable here. This is one of those grindy tests, so it may underwhelm. Let's keep an eye out here. ATR about 15, 16. All right, bulls, test that high a day. Wherever my cursor is. Here we go. Here's the test coming up. I am underwhelmed with that. Yeah, about 3 points. What do we say? Maybe 3 to 5? All right, my monitor went out for a second. We're back. I was trading off the little window. Could you guys see the whole time? I don't know what the hell just happened. My monitor just like restarted. My trading monitor. That's a decent close out of the bulls, so I'll give this next bar a little bit of time. All right, there's one ATR. That would cover our risk just fine. I'm gonna pull that order. If we don't get a fill here. Pull that. ATR just under 16 here. You guys ever traded blind? It's kind of a son of a bitch, huh? When you're in a trade and the monitor goes black, that's not a good feeling. These bulls are slow. All right, so this bar closes up here. Still got a minute 17 left here. Not quite get what I was looking for out of that trade. Risk on this trade is maybe, what, 14 points? At best there, we got about 15.5 points in the money. Had an order out for a second, didn't get a fill. It just wasn't really what I was after here. Trying to see better than an ATR on this trade. Now again, am I looking for 100 points? Hell no. This is a range market. Can't expect it to go that far. All right, we got a minute 20 left on this bar. Let's see how it closes up. ATR just under 16 here, 15.8. Yeah, 20 EMA on the 5s, way down at 509. Kind of an ugly close out of the bears, honestly. Big ol' wick back up, closing right at the previous bar's wick low. Well, I mean, we'll give this trade the time that it requires. Sitting pretty much break even on the thing. New high of day is 556. Now, are there going to be stops up there? No, not really. There's going to be a few, of course. But as far as moving forward, is there a stop hunting mentality at 556? It can grow as the day goes on. The longer a level's there, the more time it has to accumulate stops. Because if it's the obvious curl, then a whole bunch of shorts are putting their stop above the obvious curl. But when it's fresh like this, it has a few. But how many traders have really entered trades in the last 6 to 8 minutes? Well, even 4 to 6 minutes. Of course, some. But not as much as when it's set at high a day. ATR down to 14.4. Under 15. Things start to get a little bit slow. Under 10 is not tremendous. Hopefully we'll hold above 10. We haven't really dipped beneath 10. I think I'm correct about this. I don't think we've dipped beneath 10 all week. Which is good. We don't want it to dip beneath 10. Man, there have been weeks where we've barely been above 10. We have now seen both sides of this trade. We've been in this trade since Which bar was it? We entered in the middle of a bar. I think it might have been this bar here. Okay, so we'll get flat. Let's move on. 15 points in the money at best. Wasn't really what I was after. Wasn't what I was after. We had better than 1-to-1 reward to risk. You guys know I'm big on negative reward to risk. Not on that trade. So, let's move on. I think we're in a bigger range now. And let's see here, man. 20 EMA currently is at 511, 512. For me right now, downside tests of this flat bottom are interesting to me. Oh. Well, that's a big inside close. I mean, we're not even really in the bottom of that little soft bull channel. So I can't do anything there after a 5 bear bar sequence. Now, the interesting thing, the kind of weird thing about this bear bar sequence is they're all small and they're almost all inside closes. Which is called, what? A grind. Yeah, Roy, I think that's my problem, man. You know, I mean, hey, sometimes the mornings just start this way, man. I'm not thrilled about it. But who gives a shit? I've taken... Jesus. Let me think. Tens of thousands of trades. It's gotta be. Yeah, sometimes you're gonna have some shitty streaks. And that's happening to me today, man. But Roy, I think you're right. I think it's the music. This is a weird little 2-minute bar. I mean, it kind of puts us right back. Now, just for context, here. This is like the soft bull channel I keep talking about. That kind of puts us right in the smack dab in the middle of it. Which is a weird position. All right, guys. Hey, quick break. I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're going to clean this up, baby. All right, welcome back. You guys ready to rock or what? Let's do it. Okay, so let me show you a 5-minute chart, just because it will give more context. I kind of had my eye on this kind of deal. Okay, so let's go back to a 2. And keep an eye on this. "65 seconds out. The comeback starts now." All right, ATR down at 13 here. Again, keeping an eye on that wedge. I mean, if you want to look at it on the 2-minute, which is what we're on here, that to me is the most obvious look. But you got to remember, at 522, that's the 20 EMA on the 5. Okay, so I don't want to get married to that little wedge idea, because lines are lines, and in the real world, it's always a plus or minus range around that kind of obvious level. All right, 17 seconds out. Copy trader ready to rock. We have 2 consecutive bear bodies. Say, okay, Nico, we're getting short. 5 seconds. And the answer to that question is no. Punch that to the long side. See if we can get a push back up into that range. We are long, baby. ATR 13. Boom, half an ATR. We will cut that there. Just little chips, midday chips. Let's keep chipping away at this here. All right, well, it's always nice to break a little losing streak like that. But I don't care because it is low volatility at this point in the day. We're at a 12 and a quarter ATR. And right now is my time of day to just put my head down and try to take little chip shots. Do the best I can. All right, 40 seconds out here from the close. Interesting little close there out of the bulls. But right in the middle of that range, so we're going to go next bar here, minute 55 out. All right, 30 seconds here. Now, when you have a high a day flat top like this, can anybody tell me what the risk is? Now, more than likely, I could short ahead of that and be all right. Okay, but what's the risk? Relatively low probability of it happening. What, nobody knows the answer? Come on now. I know it's low volatility, but wake up, people. You sitting taking a nap at your chair? ATR at 12 and a half. With that flat top there. Nobody wants to say anything and be wrong. The risk is the break. Come on, guys. The risk is it breaks and pushes 15 points when you were looking for a 7-point scalp. That's the risk. I'm throwing lobs here. Underhand pitches. And no one wants to swing because they might miss. All right, here's the test. Let's see. Let's see if that risk becomes reality. Or if we get a nice small bear body closing near the low, in which case I would like to get short on the close of that bar if that happens. All right, 52 seconds out. Let's see here. If we get a small bear body, I'd honestly prefer for it to be an inside close inside of this bar. Inside of the open would be tremendous. Then I would like to get short using a stop limit sell and just use this flat top at high a day. This is the high a day right now to manage. Let's see if we get that. Copy trader ready to go. $20 seconds here. All right, let's get a stop limit sell ready. Suck it down to avoid some news fill that we don't want. And let's see if we can get... Ooh, can't place that. That's ugly as all hell. Got to pull that. See that wick back out of the bulls. Can't be hitting that. All right, 60 seconds. 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart, in case you're wondering, is down at 526. So there's room. It's not a concern when we're looking at this wedge. Hyatt Days right at my cursor. I think these bulls want to see it, but there are no one has it in them to buy that through. Man, this is killing off ATR. ATR 11.4. Do not want to see that dip beneath 10. All right, we got about 23 seconds here. Keeping an eye on this bear body. We are in a relatively tight wedge. ATR is pretty low. So we are just looking for chip shots here currently. Got to do what we can, given the current market environment. 8 seconds. See if the bears can give us a nice close near the low of this bar. And we'll give it the rollover and see if we can get a nice downside test in the first 15, 20 seconds. All right, we barely got a fill. We might have been 1 second over. I think we got it. I think we got in at the 20-second mark. So we'll sit long there and see if the bulls can fade this back up into the channel and take this bar by bar. ATR 11.5. All right, bulls, fade this back up into that little wedge. Yeah, I mean, ATR is pretty low. We're beneath 12. Gonna suck risk up. Is it there? ATR 11.5. Bull's having a little trouble here, right in the middle of the wedge. There you go, Bulls. Little harder push. ATR falling, now 10.6. That's better than half an ATR. All right, pull that little chip shot. Let's move on. Keep grinding away here. There's the test, by the way, the 5-minute 20 EMA right there at 5:30. All right, well, we're doing a pretty damn good job. Well, I don't want to speak too soon. It's been, 5 trades in on the day. Kind of light for this time of day, honestly. But, I mean, cleaning things up a little bit here. Kind of a rough start to the morning, honestly. But that's okay. Okay, so 5-minute 20 EMA is still sitting at 530, and we are hovering right above it. Literally, the EMA on the 5-minute chart is right there. Do I care? Am I going to take a trade off of it? Hell no, but the world is watching the 5-minute 20 EMA. Self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the only reason I care at all. Let's get rid of this wedge. That's clearly changing. Let's see if the bears crack this baby downside. If the bears break this up downside, it might be aggressive because that would mean losing the 20 EMA on the 5 for the first time in 2 hours. And that kind of look, when you get a soft bull channel, right, like this kind of look, soft bull channel that turns into a flat top sideways trading range wedge, if and when it breaks and sustains, it can move pretty damn quick. So let's get ready here in case we got to put something on. Minute 50 left on this 2-minute bar. All right, 60 seconds here on this bar. Let's see if the bears take out this wick low back here. Ideally on multiple bars, not on a single bar, because if it happens on a single bar, all of a sudden that signal bar is massively outsized, and then I can't really, it's hard to manage risk. But I am also looking at the 5-minute chart here because there's 2.5 minutes left on the 5-minute chart, and it itself is looking kind of juicy here if you want to look at the 5. There's the 5-minute. Gonna keep an eye on that as well, but let's head back to the 2-minute for now. That's a big bar. So we're going to give it one more bar here. We're a minute 40 out. Let's see if we get something we can, at least interesting enough to put something on. Minute 30 left on this 5-minute bar. This is going to be a dual rollover, by the way, between the 5-minute and the 2-minute chart. Which starts to get interesting, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have to switch over to the 5. Because this is really the setup that I'm interested in here on the 5-minute. We're 35 seconds out. This is a 5-minute chart. If we can see the bears close this bear body very close to the low, at least beneath the wick that my cursor is at, without growing much more. So it's kind of right in the slot, right? In 15 seconds here. Then I'm going to have to look to utilize this stop limit sell to try to get short. Let's see. Can we get a close beneath 17? But within reason, ideally like above 10, and we won't. All right, we'll look for the next bar here. And we will head back to the 2-minute chart to do that. Look at these bulls. All right. 5-minute 20 EMAs at 28.29. So right about where my cursor is, there is the test of the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart. Again, you are looking at a 2-minute chart, but we're keeping an eye on that. And also, kind of a retest of the low of that wedge that we were just in. Wow, what a push out of the bulls. Any of you guys buy that dip? That was quite the dip and rip out of the bulls. Jesus, that's going to bring ATR back up. We're at 12.6 on ATR. All right, we'll go next bar here, minute 55. Let's see what we get. I'll tell you one thing. If we get a bear body closing near the low inside of that last bull body, I'm going to have to get short. But this thing's kind of jumping around right now. So let's see here if that becomes something that we have to do. $20 seconds out here. We're back on the 2-minute chart. If the bears can give us a nice low close, need to be near its wick low. I don't think we're gonna get it, are we? We're not gonna get it. All right, next bar. Kind of a little bull doji. Now, again, hey, we're hovering pretty much right around the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart. So this is not crazy that this is sticking. It'll break up though. By the way, getting a few live headlines from Williams of the Fed. It's not 2022, you know? I mean, committee members, Fed members that are not Powell, don't move things tremendously. In 2022, it was kind of nuts. You would see really any Fed member say anything about inflation and the market would push one way or the other. But they're saying they expect tariff impact to play out into the middle of next year, so 2026. Yeah, tariffs will probably stay in place. The Fed needs to keep the economy on track and allow tariffs to pass through. It is clearly the case that downside employment risks have increased. Okay. Kind of some basic stuff. Not really moving much as far as the market is concerned, at least not currently. So you know how the Fed has a 2% inflation target? Williams said about 30 minutes ago, they expect inflation to get back to the Fed's 2% target by 2027. Oh, steering a big ship, man. We've been talking about the 2% target since 2022. That is brutal. If you guys haven't yet, dude, hit the like button on the stream. Helps out tremendously. And I greatly appreciate you doing so. Minute 25 out. Let's see what this bar brings here. Again, hey, 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart. We're looking at a 2-minute. On the 5-minute is at 529. So we're kind of sticking to it. Let's see if we can move away from that and get a half reasonable setup here. I think more than likely we're just in a big old trading range between like 510 and 560. All right. 30 seconds out. See if we can do something. You know, number one concern turns into this becoming a thing. Seven seconds out. Copy trader ready to rock. Stop limit buy, engage, bring that in so we can get a better look. Place that there. We will get a fill. And see if we can get a little bull push back up toward that flat top. Back toward the higher end of that range. Of course, we are facing off with that potential. Okay, so understanding that. There you guys go, so you can see it, what's going on here. And let's see if the bulls can take this back up toward that flat top. Without reclaiming our signal bar wick first. Come on, bulls. ATR 11. Still not tremendous here. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I win or lose this baby? Now again, we have this flat top. This is what I'm looking at. That flat right there. Let's see if we can test it. Bears. All right, we'll cut it there. Move on. Move on, man. I think we're probably going to see this become a thing. Which means that this flat top may be outdated enough to start looking at this as the updated level. So let's move on. Keep chipping away. Eric, are we degenerates for even trading today? Bad market? No. Look. The market's gonna be not great a lot of days. First of all, how the hell are you supposed to know? Right until you're in it. Secondly, you're gonna perform well on bad days. What even is a bad day? It's kind of a, for me, days that go, I'd say probably the least well are little range markets that keep shifting all day. So it's not really a soft bull channel. It's not a soft bear channel. It's kind of a sideways market that keeps turning into a sideways trading range, a descending trading range, an ascending trading range with very little, I guess, predictability to it. At least in the way that we talk about predictability, which is, 55 to 65%. And you have to understand, one single trading day, the sample size is small anyway. So who's to say that if you traded the same day for a long time that you would not perform well? That's where you have to track your data. Otherwise, you don't know. Now, a lot of people like to say, yeah, we have news in 4 days. I'm not trading all week. It's like, then you're not an active trader. Like, active traders show up to work. They're here. They're in it. Now again, you know, I think it is helpful to have rules like, at what point do you walk away? For me, I'm not even close to that point as far as like P&L. All right, we have 15 seconds about left here on this 2-minute bar. Yeah, we're getting too damn close to that little flat top to justify that risk. We're gonna have to wait till the next bar. 5 seconds here for the rollover. See those stops? That's the stops getting triggered. When you have a limit order out, if you're in a trade, that's what we're after. That gave us, well, that gave the market, I suppose, an 8-point push. Exactly 8 points, essentially. From that high at day. So those stops getting triggered, those short stops are buy market orders, right? So there's an example. No setup really heading into it. All right, guys. Hey, quick break. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back. What did I say it'd be, 2 minutes? That was about 2 minutes, right? Minute 25 out. We're still on a 2-minute chart here. Well, volatility is trying to pick back up here. ATR is just under 12, but these bars, the range, you can see those orange bars on the bottom of your screen. We're trying to increase a little bit. We're bouncing hard off of the 20 EMA on the 5-minute chart, which is currently at 535. Basically the low of that little wick move. But interestingly, these bulls are pretty resilient inside of this range. The bears try to break it out downside, and the bulls say no. Hard. This is the second time we've seen this now in the last 35, 40 minutes. Look at this bull body, 30 seconds. Our range on that bar, 21, 22 points. In an environment where ATR is beneath 12, that's a pretty sizable bull body. That's not too bad. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to hit lunch. We'll see what the afternoon here brings. Stay patient. Stay patient. If you lose a few, man, it's all right. Be patient. Let the setups come to you. And when it does, you got to hit it. You got to hit it. As long as you can make sense of the setup, it's logical. And it makes logical, psychological, mathematical sense within reason. Remember, we're living in a fog here. So if you put something on that checks all those boxes and it doesn't work, it's okay. It's okay. There's going to be thousands, millions of those trades over your career. Maybe tens of thousands. All right, guys. Hey, subscribe to the channel. I will be live again tomorrow morning. Best deal right now with code BIG, B-I-G, is going to be Take Profit Trader. They do daily payouts. If you're somebody who's trying to bootstrap taking this full time, you need money coming in as often as possible. Take Profit Trader is the move. Code BIG gives you 40% off. And then when you pass, if you use that code, they waive the activation fee, which is over $100 that you just do not have to pay. So, all right, guys. See you tomorrow morning. Subscribe to the channel. Have a good afternoon.